Thanks everyone for coming. I'm coming to you from Meanjin, Brisbane, so home of the Turrbal Jagera people, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. We promised you last week that Tori was going to run you through natural capital impact, building a report card live. Unfortunately, Tori's been really unwell this week, so Nissa Henry's put a hand up to fill the void, and so Nissa's going to run you through natural capital impact, sort of building a report card live. So this is going to run through a demonstration, and then we'll do questions at the end. So if you can hold your questions till the end, that would be great, because it means we can keep the recording or post the recording of the presentation session, less the questions after the session for those who are unable to make it. So welcome everyone. Nissa, we're in your hands.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, as Nick mentioned, I'm Nissa Henry. I'm the reef lead within TRUI, but I hail from about 22 years in state government in Queensland. I was the chief scientific officer for the Office of the Great Barrier Reef, so I've had about over 10-year history in making report cards. So we used to do a report card on the health of the Great Barrier Reef, which is how we came across TRUI back in the day. So today I'll walk you through a bit of a demo on how to create a report from scratch. So just let me share my screen with you. Okay. Hopefully you can all now see the landing page of the Natural Capital Suite. This is where you can find information on a whole range of Natural Capital Suite products. And today we'll be showing you Impact. Let's go into this one. So here's a web page with a little bit of background information about what Impact is and a summary of the 6 steps I'll be showing you today and how to create your own interactive report card. And there's information at the bottom about where you can get in contact with us, and we're happy to do more demos for you and your groups if you like down the track. And don't worry about trying to scribble down any notes today. We'll record the meeting and post it under the events page as well. So getting started. This is what it looks like when you land. Obviously, you won't have as many report cards as myself. So basically, as Tori went through last week, this is designed so you can create your own interactive report card. We have actually had a few of the NRM groups contact us about maybe using it not just for report cards, but also for the NRM plans as well, which I guess I hadn't really thought of as a use case. But a lot of them had looked at like Esri story maps as, example, having a spatially based text, piece of work to highlight their work. But you actually have to have a GIS skills to be able to produce those, and they cost a fair bit of money. So I actually think this would be quite suitable for use as an NRM plan as well as a report card. So what we're going to create today, I'll just show you what it looks like. This is the end product. Sorry to do the reveal first, but anyway, this is an example of a report card, and this is dummy data, FYI. Don't believe any of the scores. So what we'll do is show you how to create this. So from the landing page, you go add new, and you've got 2 choices. And this is important because basically, once you make one of these, you can't go back and change your mind. You have to delete the report card and start again. So this is your first big decision. And there's 2 types of report card. One, what we call a rolling report card. So basically, it's the same instance that's there, and you might just update some bits of your data every year. The other type is a periodic instance. And that's if you want to have multiple instances of your report card through time. So like, for example, the Reef Water Quality Report Card, that's usually published as a periodic instance. So each year or every 2 years, they have a whole new report card that gets cloned, and then the data is updated for the next year. And at the top, you can flip back and forward between the years. A lot of other report cards like the Melbourne Healthy Waterway Strategy, it's just a rolling current. It's always the same report card, and you just update some data as you go. So I'm going to make a rolling current. So we create that, and this is your setup screen basically. So from here, you can have, this is all your sort of setup structure here on the left, from your theme, your reporting, your locations, your indicators, and where you want those indicators to show up. And then I guess once you have your report card set up, if you only want to come in and update it each year, that's where you come into the content section. That's where you can just upload your data for the year, update the page text, update your little case study widgets, and hit publish. So I'll demonstrate how to set one up from scratch. And then to save a bit of time typing out all the indicators manually, I'll go to one I've partially prepared earlier. So from here, you can adjust all the things yourself. So in the past, when we've created custom content management systems for people's environmental report cards, every time you wanted to change, the color, the text, the style, the layout, we had to go get developers to come and make all those changes. Here, you can basically change just about everything you can think of yourself. So let's give us our report card a name. Here we go. I've got some pre-prepared text I'm going to be cutting and pasting in here. I'm going to use the same example we just did. Oops, sorry. It's always nervous typing live in front of people. The Moorabool report card. I hope I am saying that correctly. I am a North Queenslander. I'll preface this by I am not a Southerner who's very familiar with catchment, but it's a very pretty little catchment. So we thought that'd make a good demo report card. So you type your report card name, you type in your slug. So your slug is basically just so you can have a human readable URL at the top. So you can see it's updated at the top to Moorabool report card. We'll call it number 2. So that just means when you send the links around, it's human readable. You can also put a tagline in. So it might be something like assessing the condition of the Moorabool catchment, for example. And you can also upload your group's logo. So let's hope this works fine. There we go. I do have the logo for your CMA there, ready to go. So that's how you set up the first page. You can also change things like your highlight color. That gives you a lot of choices in colors. You can pick here from the palettes. There's a lot of palettes preloaded. Or if you have your own corporate color, you can actually add that directly as well. You can also change your font here for the report card. And you can also make decisions about what kind of layout style you'd like. So, for example, if you want the map on the left or the map on the right, if you want it to take up a quarter of the page, a third of the page, or half of the page, you can pick anyone that you like. So, for example, this one, I might go, I want the map on the left and I want it to take up about a third of the page. So that's the theme and the setup for the theme. Next, your big choices that you have to make is whether you want a square or a circle icon for your report card. In future, we might have some additional options added here, but for now, you've got those 2 choices. So I'll leave it as square for now. The biggest next decision you'll need to make is what type of report card grading system you want. So there's 3 options here. Discrete is probably like your classic report card where you have like A, B, C, D categories, very good, moderate, poor, those type of things. So it breaks the scoring and assessment down into those categories. The good news here, though, is you can have that display as anything you like. So if you don't want to call it very good, poor, if you don't want to use A, B, C, D, you can call it whatever you like. It could be the best report card, the worst report card. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be whatever you like. And also what that scoring gets graded against, you can also change that yourself. So we could add some new categories, A, B, C, D, E, for example. And we could call that poor, and we could call the bottom category very poor. And you might go, oh, well, let's, if it's greater than or equal to 80, that's good. Give that a very good score. Then it might be, 60. Then it might be 40. And then it might be 20. But then you might go, oh, well, if it's less than 20, that's pretty bad. So let's just go less than 20 gets a very poor. And you can change your colors here, just like we showed you before. Wherever you see the color, you can click on it and change the palette. So example, we might change that one to, a light green. And you might change this one to an orange. And that one might be a red. And that one might be a black. I'm not a graphic designer, so don't shoot me if I picked ugly colors. So I hope Tori doesn't watch this video later and tell me off for picking ugly colors. Here is where you can also add additional categories, like, for example, no data as a grey, or NA for not applicable, for example, if an indicator isn't applicable for a certain area. It's very flexible. Pretty much anything you can think of that you want to change on the page, you can change here yourself. The other type of report card, so that was a discrete report card. The other type of report card is continuous. So that might be, okay, I don't want to put things in the categories of very good, good, poor. I just want to know, maybe from a scale of 1 to 100, for example, what my condition is. And you can change the color gradient for that as well. For example, if you find the traffic light system offensive, you could go shades of blue. We don't want to make anything look too bad. It could be, a dark blue for a low score and a light blue for a high condition score, for example. And the same thing, you can actually add your own reporting categories here as well. So we find this one works quite well if you, say, have a condition-based report card, or you just want everything to be assessed in the same way against a standardized score, whether that's 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. You can define that yourself. And the third type of report card is a change report card, or as I call it, the up-down arrow report card. And this one's pretty cool. So if you don't want to, make too much of an assessment of the different grades and things, you just want to say things are improving or increasing, or they might be trending down, decreasing, or there's no change at all. You can actually change the display names here to whatever you like, and you can change the colors to whatever you like, and it represents it as an up-down arrow. So increasing has an up arrows. We might put that as a less offensive color. Decreasing, not so good, maybe, a yellow. And no change, maybe that's very neutral. And you have a sideways arrow. So this is one I think that we're looking at for the future Reef report card. So they're sort of moving away from that discrete sort of style to maybe this up-down arrow approach, or change report card, I should say. Because people just want to know, are things trending up or down or staying the same, really? And again, you can change the shapes of your icons, and you can see they update there to circle or square. I'll also show you later, you can actually also upload your own graphics for your own icons if you want to use, like, a coral icon or a seagrass icon or a water quality drop or biodiversity icon. You can upload your own icons as well. So they're your sort of reporting styles, your discrete, continuous, and change. Once you've made that decision, basically you're up to the spatial locations. So all you need for this is a standard spatial file, a GeoJSON file. Few groups that didn't have any GIS capacity, we've helped with creating these GeoJSONs, so don't worry, we can handhold you for that one. But most groups have their region, for example, as a spatial file. So you just upload that, and it's very quick. That'll show in a second, even on my slow home internet. And once that's uploaded, you can then see it visualized here. And you can choose different base layers here down the bottom. So this is the light one. You can use dark. You can use satellite, which I quite like to use the satellite one because it really shows the landscape underneath. And there's the standard things like your outdoors or street view if you may be doing an urban report card. But for this demo purpose, I'll just leave it on light for now. And here is where you can change your ordering of your spatial locations, just dragging and dropping. So if you want Mirabel River at the bottom, you can, or you can put it back to the top. As well as this, you can turn certain locations on and off. Say if we didn't want Sutherland Creek to show, you can just turn that one off. And here you can also write descriptions of your catchments as well. So you could say, this is a catchment that's, 1,160 square kilometers big. It's mostly rural with urban at the end. Whatever text you like, you can write it here and format it yourself. And your location codes you can also update. These will basically be used in your data files. So what you'll find once you've uploaded your spatial file and we get to adding your indicators and data, they'll be populated with these location codes. So you can see we've got them nested here. But you can change those abbreviations to whatever you like. So that's basically all the setup there is. You're basically ready to do your report card now by adding your indicators. But because it takes me a little while to type lots of things out in front of people, at this point, I'll switch over to, here's one I prepared earlier, where I've written some of the indicators down just so we've got something to look at. And then I'll show you how to add each of the indicator types now to this one. So the first one we're going to add is a group of indicators. So see how here we've got biodiversity? That's a group of indicators and it has sub-indicators underneath it. So I'm going to add a new group and I'm going to call it land indicators. We'll give it a slug as well for the URL, which just go for something short generally, call it land. And then under that group of indicators, we want to add a sub-indicator. So there's two types of indicators you can add at this level, a target indicator, say if you're assessing progress towards a target that you've set, or a condition indicator. What's the condition? I'll demonstrate both of these, but I'll go target indicator first just to show you what that looks like. So adding a target indicator, we're going to call it riparian management. How about that? So we've got a target for how much riparian works we want to be able to do. Give it a slug as well, so you can see that updates in the top. You've got currently the choice of two types of charts, column and waterfall. In the next, over the next 12 months, we'll be adding a whole bunch of new visualization charts as standard in the default. But for clients that we're working with, like the Office of the Great Barrier Reef for their reef report card, we're doing some custom ones for them as well. So that's always available to your organisation if you like. The y-axis title, we might call it kilometres of riparian zone managed, and therefore the unit would be in kilometres. I won't bother with any decimals here since we're talking about kilometres. And here is where you can actually override the standard grading thresholds that we set up under the reporting. You remember at the beginning back here. For this one, we're going with the discrete, very good, good, moderate, poor. And that's 80, 60, 40, 20, or less than 20 for those categories. But for this one, because it's a riparian management target, we want to be able to say, well, in our NRM plan for the year, we actually want to set a target, at best to do, let's go 150 kilometres of riparian works. And if we fall just short of that target, we'd be happy with, say, 120 kilometres. And I'll just scale that down. So maybe we go 90, maybe we'll go 60. And if we go less than 60, yeah, probably not doing as good as what we hoped. So I'll use those as the categories. Here's where you can put your confidence in. This is your confidence indicator. So because we're planting these and we know exactly how much we're doing, I'm going to say we've got five out of 5 stars of confidence. If you've got a bit of an experimental indicator that you're not fully confident in, you can put it as 3 stars, and that'll show in the visualization to demonstrate your confidence, so you're not misrepresenting things. So basically, that's how you add a target indicator. These other panels at the top, you can do things like duplicate it and then change things. Under primary results, here's where I mentioned before, you can actually add your own icon here. So if you've got a tree icon that you want to use for the visualizations, you can add that here. You can also add supporting text here about the indicator. So this is quite useful for people to really understand what the indicator is about. So I'll put some text in there explaining that this is about vegetation condition and vegetation quality. And then basically under this last panel here is where you have control of what panels will show on the report card and what style that will show. So you can have it as your primary result, like your ABCD icon, plus your graph. But if you don't want to show the graph, you can pick just the ABCD icon only. But I'm going to go graph option for this one. So you give it a title. We want to call this panel results. Results. And coming down here, you'll see there's 4 location levels. These are sort of the levels of drill down you have. So as Tor explained last week, we use a progressive disclosure approach. So the parallel to this for the reef report card would be level 1 is the whole of the Great Barrier Reef catchments as one. Level 2 would be your NRM regions. Level 3 might be your catchments, and level 4 might be your sub-catchments. So here you can turn off what panels show at what level. So if you only want to show one level of reporting, that's fine. Just leave these ones grayed out as we've done here. If not, you can turn on and put up to 4 levels of drill down panels. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But here we might want to say the panels, what we're going to call them, we'll call it about the results. That'll just give you a title for the panel. And we're going to call this what's being done. So widgets are things like case studies or icons of graphics and things like that, where you can highlight all the good work your organization's doing to address, what might not be a great result for some of the condition or target indicators, it's still really good to highlight what's being done. Even if it is good news, it's still good to have that. So that's how you basically add a target indicator. So before I add another indicator, one little trick I'll show you as you're going through, and you want to see what does this look like as I'm building it. You'll see this Publish tab down the bottom. Under the Publish tab, you can see this View Preview Report Card. Now, this is super handy to basically just have a look at what it looks like as you're building, because as I find, I add something, I go and have a look, see how it looks, and then I come back and I change it again, and then I see how it's changing and how it's looking. I'll explain the Publish bit at the end, but let's go Preview Report Card at this point. So you can see we've just added to the report card that group of indicators called land and this target indicator called riparian management. So you can drill down on that and you can see now it's actually plotted some graphs against a made up target. And you can see that we were under target in these years and exceeded the target in these years. I'll add some better dummy data in a minute. But this is just to show you what it looks like as you add things. And on these screens, you see these little icons at the top. So this is your graph view. You click on this one in the middle that looks like a table. That's where you can actually download your data directly. So people can help themselves to the data that sits behind your report card, which is super popular. So then minimizes all your data requests. People can download it and play with it themselves. And that supporting information we added is under this little I for info icon. And you can see the description of our indicator there explains what it is. And you can see the information about the catchment, which you set up in that spatial location area, explains what that catchment is there. And going back to our graph icon, if you click on different parts of the map, it'll update the data. Because I haven't actually uploaded any proper data yet, that's not going to look very sensible. So I'll come back and show you that in a minute. So going back to where we're up to in our indicators, that was a group indicator with a target type of indicator. I'll show you the other type of indicator you can add, which is a condition indicator. So I might add that. Let's go underwater. So underwater, I'm going to add a now condition style indicator. So this one, for example, other condition ones already here is platypus and macroinvertebrates. Let's call this one flow. And we'll give it a slug for the URL, flow. I'll leave it as a column graph. I won't bother filling all this in again since I've already demonstrated it. But what I will do is just go to the panels and put in the title results for the panel title. So when I add that, you'll see it's called results. And I'll say this is about the results. And I'll set it up so we can add a widget to that later as well. So what's being done will be the name of that panel. So that's about all I need for that setup. So under flow, what I might do now is just go to the data and show you how we upload data, and then I'll come back and add our other type of indicator as well. So I'll skip down to data for a moment. And you can see where we added riparian management and now we've just added flow, it automatically creates a blank data sheet. So what you can do, it has default data. If you just want to edit that directly, hit edit default data, and you can literally change the numbers here yourself. So if you've got a target, maybe it was 120 kilometers of riparian works you wanted to do, you can put the target in, you can put your values in for the year. You can also select what reporting year you want to report on. So you might have multiple years of data, but hey, this is the 25 report card, so we're going to select 2025 here. But I find the quickest thing to do is to upload a CSV of your data that you've already got. So let's go upload data. This is a CSV of our riparian management data for 23 to 25, and then hit open. And yes, we're going to override the default data. So there you go, there's some actual dummy data for that one. Back to our data set, same thing for flow. We're going to upload a CSV of our flow data quite easily, hit open. And then if we just switch back over to our preview report card, which I have open in this page, and hit refresh, you'll see now, once I go into riparian management, there you go, it's got some more sensible dummy data showing there. plotted against the target. And you can see the overall progress. We're saying 53% is achieved, which gives us a C moderate score. That's for the overall catchment. But you can click on different areas and it'll update dynamically based on that data. There we go. You can see Upper Little Sutherland's not doing as well. Don't worry, this is made up. No offense, Maribel. I'm sure you're doing great. There you go. You can click on the map and it dynamically updates. And you can see your gradings explained here under your map. So for that example, I'll go into Flow as well. So you can see Flow's also got some data now, and you can see it's 3 stars of confidence in Flow. But what we want to do now is add some additional sort of context charts. So we might say, go back to our indicators, and we'll go back to Flow. Okay, so under Flow, that's a condition indicator. Now I want to be able to add a context chart to that one. So you press Add New, and you see we've already gone through a condition and target indicators. Now we're going to add a context indicator. And this might be something like, what can we call this one? Rainfall. Rainfall for Moorabool. And you give it a slug. Call it rainfall, for example. And we might want to call this daily rainfall from 24, 25 maybe. And the axis, let's say it's millimeters per day is our measure. In this case, we do want to show 2 decimal places because it's rainfall. And we want to add a series as well to this. So we'll go add series. What are we going to call this one? We'll call it rainfall. And the units would be, let's go millimeters. And because rainfall, I don't know, pick a blue color. So same thing as I've shown you before. Wherever you see this little color icon, you can change it to a whole bunch of colors in the color palette there. Or if you've got corporate colors, you can type in the color code over here on the right-hand side. Okay, so we've added that. Let's go see what that looks like now on our preview page. So go back to all indicators. Let's hit refresh. Okay, so it was under Flow. You can see now it's got a dummy data. It doesn't look very rainfall-y. Let's go add some real data so it looks a bit better. So going back to the main page of the report card, let's go back to data. Okay, now we want to add rainfall data. You can see it's there waiting for its data. Let's upload the CSV for the rainfall. Open. See, it's very quick. Now when we go back to our preview of our report card and go into Flow, that looks a bit better. You can see it's got some rainfall over time there, and you can see there's the data sitting behind it. This is still dummy data, mind you. But anyway, you get the idea that you can have your results, you can have results over time, and you can have context information like this. So for some of our other indicators, like in the reef report card, we do ground cover as an indicator, and you show the rainfall as context for that indicator over time. Or it could be anything you like, really. So that's how you add a context type indicator. There is one more type, which I won't go through in detail back in indicators, and that is an alert indicator. And what that is, it's a data-driven indicator that gives you messages. So an example might be temperature, and that can connect to an actual data service directly. So we've done one for the International Reef Rescue website, and they wanted a bleaching alert for coral reefs around the world. So that connects via a data service, which is just an additional fee that we can do for you guys. And that means whenever the temperature exceeds the bleaching threshold, the report card updates a little temperature icon for those specific reefs all around the world to give them a warning about bleaching. So that's pretty cool alert indicator. You can also use it for things like if you've got dynamic targets, like in the reef report card world, they've got different targets set at different spatial scales. So every catchment that drains to the Great Barrier Reef has its own water quality target. And we wanted a little box at the top that says what that indicator is. I'll just pretend to add one here so you can see what it looks like. So you can add a whole bunch of alert categories and you can put in some rules. So if it exceeds a temperature threshold or exceed the target, you can customize that as you've done with all the other indicators. So that's pretty cool, the alert target. That's pretty advanced, though. A lot of people, might not get up to that in your first report card, but if you do, come and talk to us. We're happy to help you set that one up. So we've added all our indicators, for example, and I think we've uploaded all our data. Let's have a look. We won't worry about the alert indicator. I'll go back and delete that one. Oops. Go away. Go get my menu to go away. There we go. And you can hear, that's how you delete an indicator. Click on it, hit delete. Yes, I'm sure. There we go. So once you've added all the indicators, you can actually turn them on and off here under structure. So say, for example, there's an indicator that you don't want to report for a certain catchment. You just toggle it off here. It has all your spatial locations here of all your indicators. And this is where you can turn them on and off at that level, which is super handy. The parallel in like the reef report card would be dissolve in organic nitrogen. They don't report that in Cape York, so you just turn it off here. I won't go into too much detail about that there, but it gives you the idea. So once you've done adding indicators and you've added all your data, we're now ready to actually edit the content of our report card pages. So that's here under the pages menu. So from here, you can see here's all the pages it's automatically created based on the indicators you've added and the data you've added. These are the pages where you can then write text. So an example, because there's a lot of pages, I might filter it at the top here. Let's go to our riparian management pages. So you can see under riparian management, I might want to edit that page. You can come across here to the right and you can see actions, little edit icon, click that. And that brings up a preview of what that page looks like. And you can just edit the text directly right here on the page. So under About Results panel that we added earlier, you go Edit Content. And it's just a standard text box there where you can add your text and also format your text. I'll just copy some I've already written to save some time. There you go. And then you hit Save once you've got your text there. It's as simple as that. And it's easy to basically write your text, I find, because you've got your results right in front of you. So it's easy to write the text on the page. So that's when you add a text to the page. The other thing you can do, you'll see below, is widgets. I'll show you how to add a widget next. So let's go back to our pages. Let's go to widgets. Now I'll show you what a widget looks like. There's 3 different types. There's the image widget. That's where you just give it a title. Here's a photo of some lovely people doing some macroinvertebrate sampling. Give it a caption, and the alt text is just the text that shows when you hover above the photo. So that's an image type of widget. The other one is a boxed link widget. I'll show you what that looks like. Similar to the image one, but has a bit more information. So you have your title, you upload your photo, you have your alt text to hover above the photo. You give it a heading. This is a bit more like a case study, this one. So it has a title, it has a summary. You can make that more extensive if you like. You have a link text, so learn more, click here, and that's where you provide your URL as well. So that's quite handy if you want to add little case studies to certain pages. You just create them here, and then I'll show you back on the page, you just add those to that. We'll demonstrate that in a minute. But lastly, I'll show you the last kind of widget is a headline figure widget. That is literally just a line and a number, a measure, and a description. So let's create a new widget just to demonstrate things. I'm going to go headline. So what am I going to call this one? I'm going to call it parrot. You'll see in a second. Number, I'm going to go 284. And what is the unit? I'm going to go hectares. And I'm going to say, what are we going to call it? Here's some text I've got ready to drop in. I don't want it bold, turn that bold off. So it's the parrot, the name is just the name of the widget, doesn't show on the page. So we want to show 284 hectares of salt marsh rehabilitated for the orange-bellied parrot habitat. So that's our widget. So I've created that there. You can see it's in the list now. Now I want to add that to a page. So we go to our pages. And what page would I want to add this on? Let's go riparian management again. And we go back to edit that page, hit edit. And you can see now under that what's being done panel that we added earlier, you can now select a widget. So let's go our parrot widget. There you go. And it animates the number, which is pretty cool. You can also make these a link in this text. And you can add multiple widgets also to the same page. So for example, I might want to show another widget. Here's one I prepared earlier, the flagship project. So you can see that little case study style widget is at the bottom there. So that's pretty cool. You can do that at any spatial location that you like, for any indicator that you like, and you can see it animates the number when you click on and off. So that's the what's being done widgets. The last thing you can do to pages is exceptions. So that might be, let's say you don't have enough data to report on a certain indicator at a certain spatial scale. You can set an exception. So I wrote the exception here, which is platypus, insufficient data. Platypus sightings were insufficient to calculate a score. So that's my message. And now I want that to display on a certain page. So we go back to pages as usual. I go to my indicator filter drop down to platypus. And let's say it's, I don't know, the Moorabool River. Let's go into edit that page. And we're here. You can see there's nothing there yet. So on that page, I lost it. Platypus, demonstrate again. You can see this exception column here. You can set exception. So in the drop down, that exception message we've already created with platypus insufficient data. You click that here, and then we'll go have a look what that looks like in the preview report card. So go back to all indicators. Let's go drill down on platypus now. You can see that the widgets we added were there, and we'll remember which one I added it to. Was it this one? There we go. Update it, and it says platypus sightings were insufficient to calculate a score. And so it overrides your scoring box there, which is good. So you can do that, for example, if certain targets aren't set in certain locations or whatnot. And so you can see at the top here, I'm a bit of a spatial person. I like to navigate by clicking on the map and things like that. You can also click at the top of the map to switch between indicators here. Or you can also do it from the top here. So you can do the whole catchment or a certain catchment in the drop down. Let's leave it at that one. And you can select indicators this way as well. Let me go to platypus. So you can navigate that way as well. So go back to all indicators. So it's super flexible. If you like drop downs, if you like maps, or if you just like clicking on things, there's 3 ways you can navigate. So it should suit all styles of people. So going back to, that's the top of the page. When you've basically gone through and edited the text on your pages, added your widgets, put any exceptions in that you need, basically you're ready to go. So let's go all indicators. You can see there's all our pages there. What I tend to do as I've edited a page, just to know that I've finished with it, I press this ready to publish little icon here. So that's how I keep track of which ones I've added my text to, or added my exception messages to, or added my widgets to, and put ready to publish. But if you don't want to do that, you can just go through edit all your pages, and then there's a little neat shortcut here. On this left-hand side, you can select all pages here by clicking that tick box at the top left corner. And then over on the far right, you'll see bulk actions here. And this nifty little thing can update all your pages at once to ready to publish. So, yep, I'm ready to publish to all pages. Let's go. See how it's switched them all there, so you don't have to click through individually. It's done them all, ready to go. So that means all your pages now are basically set up, ready to go live with your publication. So what that looks like, go to your published menu at the bottom. And you can see to date, we've been using that preview report card, which I had open in this tab here. Once you're ready to go with your actual live report card, you go publish, the big publish button. And basically that means it's live to your website, which you can either share as a site link by copy here, or you can actually embed it in your own website, which is very cool. That's a new feature. So before, a lot of our report cards that we made custom for groups, we just hosted on a separate site for them. But here you can actually embed with this site, this script here within your own website. And that means that interactive report card will be, natively viewed within your website, which is pretty cool. So when that's published, you'll see, let's go. That's the final result. You can see what we've added our flow indicator with our context chart. You can see that we added our riparian management land indicator with about the results and some widgets. And you can see basically that's what your final report card looks like, which you can then, download your data for or explore deeper and play around by clicking on different catchments and seeing the different graphs. You can also add panels like we did on the other page. You can add panels to each one of these. So each one of these could have its context drill down chart, or it could have an additional panel for like a alert indicator or whatever you like. It's super flexible. So I think Tori's design is amazing. Like I've been working report cards for 10 years, and I seriously wish we had this 10 years ago because just about everything you can think of that you want a developer to change, you can change yourself now. So we might be doing ourselves out of a job here in Trui, but I think this is a game changer for report cards, this platform. And I say report cards, I actually think it could be used for plans as well. So imagine this is your NRM plan for a certain region. You might have themes that you're trying to address through your NRM plan, like biodiversity, water, climate change, for example. And you want to say, what are you trying to address? So you might want the change report card up, down. So we want to improve biodiversity, up arrow would be our target. I'm trying to reduce water quality pollution, that might be a down arrow. It's quite flexible. You can basically make it, as long as you've got some information to fill in at spatial scale, so data-driven sort of text, you can add whatever you like. So, for example, it might be the text might say, I'm trying to reduce phosphorus to, reduce algal blooms in this catchment. And what are we doing? We're working with landholders to improve water quality, and you have a little link to your case study. And that way you can just come and update it. The whole NRM plan might be the same for 5 years, but in 1 year you might want to say, well, we're doing a new program for water quality. Let's come in and write some new text and update what we're doing about that here. So I think it's pretty flexible, really. So anyway, that's what it looks like. I think I've covered everything.